Hey everyone. Uh, First of all, thank you for getting up. It of course depends on the position you are around the world. If you're close to Europe, thank you for waking up so early, for joining our conversation. I'm glad you guys are there, and I hope you like our conversation. Today, we're lucky to have here with us Yun from Taiwan. Um, I probably should make a comment before I start because some some people may question, and actually I've met Yoon from a friend of mine that has been in Germany, and then he met not only Yoon but also Aine from episode 7 from Japan. And so one of the best ways I've found so far to meet people from other countries that I don't know anyone from is to talk with friends that have been outside of the country, and they've had this international experience, and they've met these people from different corners of the globe, uh, which is a funny expression, corners of the globe, because if it's a globe, it shouldn't have corners. But moving on. Um, and yeah, and he talked to me about Aine and Yoon, and that she could be interested in participating, and that Aine was from Japan and Yoon from Taiwan. I know, and I thought about it one or two times before I said, yeah, contact Yoon to do the video, that Taiwan isn't so uniformly accepted as a country as the other countries I've done so far. So I thought about it one or two times if I should do the video, because I know some people might protest, saying that Taiwan, in their opinion, isn't a country. But in the end, I believe that I should do the video for two reasons. One is that I'm not trying to make any political or any kind of statement. So that my goal is not to promote or not promote Taiwan as a country. And the second is that the way I got to uni is the one I showed you. So it was through a friend, so I had the opportunity to interview her, and I found it beautiful, so I decided to do it. And in the end, the goal of the channel is to promote friendship between countries, and there is no better way to promote friendly relationships than to promote communication and to hear what any side of the party has to say. So yeah, I'm glad we are doing the video. I'm looking forward to get to know Yoon and a little bit of the place where she's from. And Yoon, I started this challenge in the last episode, and the challenge basically is this one. I would like you to present yourself, that I've done since the first episode, to give the chance for people to get to know you guys before, since the beginning of the video, get to know a bit of you. But I will challenge you to do that in your native tongue, which is Mandarin, I believe, and then to translate it to English so that everyone can understand.
Okay, so right now.
Yeah.
OK，大家好，我叫做杨云，我来自台湾，我今年26岁，然后我是心理系的学生，目前我人在慕尼黑大学交换1年，然后很开心可以上这个频道来讲关于我国家的事情。I think that's it. Should I translate it into English now?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Unless you want to keep me wondering what you said.
Okay, I'm going to translate it into English now. So, hi everyone. My name is Yun Yang, and in the Mandarin name it will be Yang Yun, and I am psychology major in Taiwan. I am now doing an exchange program here in Munich, and I'm really looking forward and really thankful and appreciate for this opportunity to be on this platform so that I could share a lot of information about where I come from, about Taiwan.
Really nice. You said one interesting thing so far already. That is, your name is Yun Yang, but in Asian countries it would be Yang Yun.
Yeah.
Do you find funny this difference between Western countries, in which we say the person's name first and then after the family name, and in Asia there's this, the first name is the family name, and the person's name in the end. Do you want
I
to say anything about this?
Yeah, of course. Well, I remember I had so much difficulties and confusion growing up trying to just understanding why Mandarin is on the opposite as if in the English name of saying your names. But I don't know, as I got older, I think it has a lot to do with our like Chinese culture because I mean I know I'm from Taiwan, but we share a lot of Chinese culture as in China, and we were a very strong collectivism country, and we really value the concept of family and being respectful to the elderly, being respectful to your parents, to older generations. That is a really like a core concept in our culture. So I kind of I can see why we put our last name, our family name first, because we want to value them and we want to always remember how important they are to us and always be grateful for them. So yeah, it is kind of different. I'm not saying Westerners do not value family or
Of course.
disrespectful to elderly. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I think we really try to like enforce that concept in our culture.
Emphasize, basically.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
emphasize.
Yeah,
Could be a better.
and even though in Western countries was the same, the family that you were, I think from what I've read in books and other videos maybe, I think in the past, probably today as well, but especially in the past, the family you were born from, like your family and your ancestors, play a really important role in the position you have in society, the respect others show to you, um, right? The opportunities you might have, no?
Yeah, I think so. Especially in a more traditional family. Like if your family is a more traditional family, you will I think a lot of I at least for what I know, I still have friends and that they really have to take into account of their parents or their grandparents' advice when it comes to like big life decisions. Like some of them still have to like obey what they told. And I think one of the another thing is that we have like these in like more traditional family. We still have like this kind of like a tomb. It's not like a tomb, but we will have like this small table in our family where you have to like how do you say like pay respect to your elderlies that have passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like your ancestors, that we have a small table for them, and then you have to put on like the incense daily to show respects for them. I think my grandparents' house still has that. But so yeah, because I mean they're older and they're more
Yeah, yeah.
traditional. I think a lot of and I think a lot of Taiwanese families still have that in their family too. So yeah, we really value that part in
Yeah,
our
no, it's interesting. It's interesting.
yeah. Hmm.
Um, among your family and friends, what are you famous for?
What am I famous for?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm famous for anything. I think I am famous for being loud. I'm kind of loud, and I'm also famous for hmm giving advice, maybe
Mm.
because maybe because that's because I'm studying psychology. I don't think I have something that's famous.
Yeah,
I'm
but something you're
pretty
known for.
average.
No, something that you're known for between your families and friends. You
Huh.
can be the funny person or in the group. You can be, I don't know, you understood what I meant.
Huh. I think I'm more of the giving advice person, and then sometimes I could be very critical when it comes to people making decisions, and I'll be really straightforward and be like, "No, I don't think that's a good idea." Very opinionated, I would say. I
Yeah,
think that's what I'm famous for.
okay, that's interesting.
Sorry for all my friends out there who I may be too straightforward sometimes.
Um, yeah, you said you studied psychology. I don't know if you wanna share one or two things that makes you interested about it and that you love about psychology, or maybe about any other things you do in your spare time that you would like to share.
Huh, wow. What do I like? Psychology. Okay, that's a tough question. I think I like psychology. It's because I don't really have a specific field that I love extremely, but I like psychology in general because I do like to communicate with people and get to know people more, and I am not afraid with speaking up for myself or like interact with strangers or friends or family or anything like that. And also about psychologists that I think many people might see that as not a science. It's more like a more social studies kind of profession. But for me, I do value it as a science, and I think learning psychology actually really shaped my logical thinking and how to be more critical in a lot of issues and topics too, because it actually train you to see a lot of stuff from many different aspects instead of by just saying one thing is right or not, because our main research topic is human, and human is such a complicated concept, and it has so many different so many different factors to shape a human being. So I think I like psychologists because it doesn't really just give you a correct answers of yeah, this is why human is like that. It actually pushes you to think about what are more possibilities there that could help shape a human, or what like contribute to this behavior or this action or this outcome. So and then there's also like, because human is such a complicated concept and species, so we have to like perform very like structural experiments to prove our point, just to say that oh, people like to hang out with funny people, like there's we have to prove stuff that are so like so already known and so self-explanatory, but then we have to use like structural experiments to just to prove a point that it's true. And I like about that. It's not just you assume. It's more like instead of assuming the world as through your past experience, we try to be more neutral and be more like, how do you say it? Like
To apply the
more,
scientific method, basically.
yeah, exactly like that. So yeah, that's what I like about psychology. It's not just because I like to engage with other people. So it's because I think it actually shaped how I think about stuff, and how it's like it makes me who I am right now. I know that sounds a bit cheesy, but yeah, I that's why I like psychology.
I think all of our experiences make who we are right now, so it's normal that you have studied psychology shaped you at least a bit. But I'm curious, you said that maybe one of the reasons why you like to give advice to people was related with studying psychology. You said
But
something like you said something
oh,
like that. So I was going to ask you, why do you think that qualifies you better to give advice to other people?
okay, I don't think all my advices are the best or it's absolutely correct. I don't think so, but I think I when people have talk about their personal experience, or they have something that's they're worried about, they would talk about with me like as a casual conversation, because I mean I'm not a psychologist or in my license or anything. I'm not like those. So, but then because I study psychology, we are kind of trained to look at stuff in a more multiple aspects. So I didn't really give advice. I just pointed out other possibilities and explanation that it could be, and made for my friends to have a different point of views. I think it's more like that. Yeah.
And
I hope it's like that.
and this and you like to, or do you usually give advice? This is just a funny question related with what we are talking about. And you said you like and you're good at giving advice, at least you like to give advice to other people. And what about that related to yourself, like giving advice to yourself? How does it play a role in your life?
Like how You mean like how am I good at giving advice to myself?
Yeah, and
No.
how does that
No.
dialogue occur?
I I think that's the interesting part about human. I mean, if you come from a third point of view, you will be way more rational and way more like you won't get easily affected by your own emotions.
Yeah,
So giving advice to other people might be easier, but to give advice to myself and to make big decisions for myself is nothing like that.
yeah,
I get yeah, I get I will be more influenced with my own personal feelings and emotions way more. So I don't think that helps.
it's good to have an outside look that is
Yeah.
more um, related with how things are normally, and living inside ourselves, we are too much biased or um, led by our own emotions and experiences, and maybe not as free to critically and logically think about what we are going through in life, right? And that's interesting because you said that you are studying to become a psychologist. You like to of studying psychology. You said you like to give advice to other people, but when it comes to you, it's good maybe to talk with someone else so that they can understand or give better advice to you. And that's interesting because many people sometimes before looking for a psychologist or someone to talk to, they hesitate and they can say things like, "Oh, I'm not crazy," or "I'm not," or things like that. But that's a shame that shouldn't exist because it's good that anyone else apart from us can hear what we have to say and then give us good advice related to that, and not being so much told or shaped by our emotions. Do you agree?
Wait, I have a bad internet connection
Okay.
earlier. Can you say your questions
Yeah, I
again?
was just saying that some people may be ashamed of looking for the help of psychologists.
Oh,
And I think what you said is interesting in that way because even you, as someone who studied psychology, feel you are good at helping others, but not as well as helping yourself because, like you said, when you are thinking about your life and yourself, you are too much constrained by your emotions, and it's difficult to have a clear look at things. And I found it interesting because of what these people might feel, and they might some people don't feel comfortable looking for help of someone else to think about their own lives.
so first of all, I will not become a psychologist in the future. So just to be clear, but then about the parts that why more people like why most people don't tend to seek for psychologists or for mental health. I think it has a lot to do with the societies because when you go for when you go see a therapist or a psychologist, they would just assume that you must be crazy and you must have something wrong with you, that you are weird. And there's a lot of stigmatizations towards mental disorder people. But yeah, I think that's why. So from my point of view, will be obviously I would hope the society will have more tolerance with those people and to not judge them. But I mean, it's hard to just make that happen. I mean, saying it is way easier. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's what
that
I was trying to get to,
yeah.
and giving your example as a proof that there's no need for that. It's normal to talk with other
Yeah,
people and to listen to their advice. Um,
exactly.
Normally, I have since some episodes back, I have a short game to start with, which is these or that questions. Basically, I present you two choices, and you can choose one of them. And if you want to,
Okay.
if you want, you can try to explain uh, shortly why you chose that option. But if you don't, you can just choose the option you prefer. So I
Okay.
have here 10 questions like I used to, and The first question is sunbathing or looking at the stars?
Looking at the stars.
Okay. Are you good at recognizing patterns in the stars and see, oh, this is, um, I don't know many names by heart, but you understand what I mean, like constellations and.
I think you're really good at picking topics. This I could talk for a long time. First of all,
you really like to look at the stars then?
No, not it's not because, but this has a lot to do with our culture, I think. First of all, I don't think most Taiwanese or East Asian people would choose sunbathing because we do not like to get tan.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Like,
Okay.
I know, and I can tell this to you because maybe you don't know. Some centuries ago, people in Europe, especially people from highest rankings in society, people from the royalty family and other things, didn't like to get tanned
Oh,
because
really?
because that was representative of someone from a lower ranking in society. I think that's because the workers of the fields were exposed so much to the sun that they would get really tanned,
Hmm.
and so people from these higher ranking positions in society, like the royal family or some people that were really rich, would avoid the sun as much as they could, so that they could be as white as they could, so that it would represent that they were really in a really high position in society, in contrast to the people working in the fields that would be really tanned. But I didn't know. So today that's not such a thing. Today even people like to be tan normally. It's like
Well, not
culturally.
an Asian.
Yeah, but I didn't know that with regarding Asian people. But you can say sorry.
Yeah, well, we in our society, I think being pale is considered as more beautiful, and it
Okay.
goes with both genders, like not just for girls. I think guys will also prefer to look a bit more pale too at some point. So so that's why we don't do sunbathing. And I think we get tan pretty easily too for most of the people. I mean, not as easy as like we just get tan whenever we go out in the sun. It's just I think it's easier than like Europeans or Western like white people. So we we even have like we have so many products that are just for whitening your skin. Like we have like vitamin C and we have like those aloes ingredient stuff that those are targeted just to make you more pale. Like
Yeah.
all those cosmetics just make you more pale, and our like foundations are very pale too. Like lots of my friends would just go for like a paler tone for their foundation so that they will look paler when they have makeup on. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. And we even have this old saying, it's called like 一白遮三丑. Like if I just directly translate it, it would be like being paler makes you it covers up like way more ugliness of you. Basically just saying that even though you don't have like a perfect posture or face structure, as long as you're pale, you could still consider as pretty.
Okay.
Yeah, so
No, that's
so
interesting.
that is a huge thing in our culture, I think. And yeah, and then for looking at the stars, that I think at least for I pick looking at the stars. It's because it's not that easy to see stars from where I come from, and I think it goes the same with a lot of cities in Taiwan too, because we are a really small island and we have a lot of skyscrapers and big cities. So only at more on the east part where it's like more suburban areas of Taiwan, I think lots of places in Taiwan you were not able to see stars. So so I picked that because it's not that often and it's usually a very special thing for me to experience seeing stars. And there's a lot of mountains in Taiwan. So one of our um like activities for college students is that we will go to the mountains during night just to see stars or have some night snacks there because it's really easy to get to the mountains. It took like an hour top to get to mountains by a motorcycle. So that is one of the main activities. So a lot of college students will go to mountains at night, like as a group of people because it's fun. And then people will just hang in there. Maybe we'll have beers and have some street food with us and just chat and chill there. And that's when looking at the stars come to the pictures. Like sometimes we will talk about stars, but no, I'm not good at the patterns at all. But yeah, that because it's what part of the main activities I think for college students too. So yeah, that's why I pick looking at the stars.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So the second question I have here is the force of the art or the art of the force?
The force as the
or the art of the force?
huh. What's the difference? I don't understand. The force of
this is almost me playing with words, but it's the force of the art is more related with art as a way of doing things, and the art of the force is more related with using force as a way of doing things. I'm not saying to beat other people up. It's just when you're doing something, do you believe in really make your technique perfect or something related with that, or it's just the effort and the persistence to go through it?
Okay, so there's the force of the art and the art of the force.
Exactly.
I would pick the art of the force.
Okay.
Which means that I prefer being forced. Is it like that?
You prefer
right?
Being forced? What do you mean by that?
Okay, so I think, well, okay, for me, I used to grow up in the United States. I lived there until I was 8, and I have an older brother. So for my family, like when I moved back to Taiwan, my older brother also moved back to Taiwan. So for him, he stayed in the States till he was in middle school. So his whole education system is based on American education. But for me, I grew up in Taiwan, and I go through Taiwanese education system. And I don't know if you've heard, but education in Asia is very crazy. Like there's a lot of cramming, and then there's a lot of it's a very strict and stressful environment to survive in the education system in Taiwan, at least. I think the same goes with a lot of other East Asian countries too. So like we study a lot. Like we have long hours of study, and I don't know. I know lots of people are not that on board with this idea of like making people study and like a lot of memorizations involved in our growing up education system. But for me, I kind of like that, and I actually appreciate I have the opportunity to study in Taiwan and to experience this education system, because when at least from what I feel like, it's that it's because of the system that forced me to really engage in studying and to read a lot and to gain more knowledge during my childhood, because I don't think I will be that disciplined when I'm a kid. I don't think I will be able to accomplish so many. Accomplish may not be the right word, but I don't think I'll be able to learn that much when I'm just 8 or 9 during elementary school. So I actually do appreciate how our system is like forcing us to engage more in academics. So yeah, that's why I picked that. I think when you're a kid, you should have someone to push you and to guide you to do what you should do and what you should not do. I know like for more Western country, they more value about the part that you should be yourself and make decisions on your own and take responsibilities even at a very young age. But for me, I sometimes feel like when you're that little, you don't know that much to to make those decisions. But yeah, that I think that's just my personal like point of view.
No, I
Yeah.
find it interesting. I find it interesting. Two things. One is that I feel that you believe, or you feel as well, that your education got you to the point you are today, and you like it, so you think that your education was good because it got you to the point you are today.
Yes.
And I reviewed myself on that as well. I'm lucky to have had my education, the parents I had, the friends I had. So the life experiences I had so far, I feel really lucky for that because it got me to the point I am today, and I really like the point I am today. So I found a similar pattern with you and your education, which you were referring and talking about. The other thing is that you said the discipline and the way during your childhood, if you should oblige um, children to be more disciplined and to do this or that, versus the other concept of education in which you would give more freedom to children. In that way, one of the things I like the most about the way my education worked is that I always felt a lot of freedom, and I don't remember feeling pressured. I know some people do. It's much related with my way of being as well, because I tend to manage well my emotions in times of pressure. I believe, at least, especially during school. I remember that many friends of mine would get really nervous during exams and things like that, and I would always keep calm, focus on what I had to do, and not thinking too much about the result I would achieve. If oh, this can go wrong, I cannot have this make mistakes. I was never focused on that. I was only focused in what I was doing, and I could more or less relax myself from that pressure that you may feel, because if you want to achieve good results, you may feel pressure. But in the end, for example, I compare normally. So if you're in Portugal, I don't know how it is in Taiwan. Maybe it's different because it's more related with the Eastern culture. But we are really influenced by the American culture. We have a lot of American movies, for example. And looking at those movies, you can see that they have a lot of pressure to get into university. Like since a young age, they have to enroll in a lot of side activities from school. They have to do extremely well in school if they want to go to that university. And of course, we have to do well in school as well to go to university. But for example, just looking at the side activities, we don't have that pressure, for example, to have too many side activities and to always have been almost perfect in a way that we always were super succeeded and were always the best in all the activities we were enrolled in. And I found it nice not to feel that pressure. Oh, I have to do all these things. Not I want to, but I have to do all these things in order to go to university to the degree I want to. And I like it. I like it very much that I had the freedom to grow up at my own pace, not to be pressured to excel so young. I find it nice. I understand what you mean. It's great to have some level of discipline, because if you don't have any discipline, you'll find some difficulties along the way, or many. You need to have discipline in order to achieve what you want, because without the consistency, the results will not appear. But at the same time, I'm not saying that we don't have to achieve that level of discipline, or we don't have to grow up. I just like to have the time to grow up, to not behave like, or to have that kind of pressure on top of me from such a young age. And I like to have the opportunity to slowly grow up. I don't know what you think about this, but I found it funny that you like to be pressured. At least looking back, I can imagine at the time it didn't came at the same to you. But I liked the freedom I had during my childhood and adolescence.
Okay, well, for me, well, growing up, I do not like those pressures at all,
Yeah.
obviously. But right now, looking back, I feel like it's because of that experience. I feel like we cope really well with stress and with huge amount of pressure, and I think that's a quality that makes us strong, which I'm grateful for. So that's why I kind of, yeah. I mean, obviously, there's also students who couldn't overcome the huge amount of stress and cope with the pressure was could be end up being a very problematic issues for some people. But I think when you survive that, it's like you achieve you cross this big, it's like climbing up this tall mountain, and then you hit that point, and then you will be more experienced when it comes to coping with pressures and dealing with stress too. So that's why I actually
It's a
appreciate
it's a
that.
valuable skill, definitely, and
Yeah.
by pro- it's almost certain that throughout life you will experience pressure. So it's nice to have the skill to deal with it and to still get through it. But yeah, it's fun. Okay, moving on. These questions normally are fast, but we are getting into interesting subjects, so that's why I wasn't too bothered spending some time on this. Sculptures or paintings?
Sculptures or paintings? Huh. I would say paintings. But I, oh, that's interesting. Well, okay, that is another thing that I found interesting here in Europe, comparing to Asia. I think in art, like it's not that a big thing in Taiwan. We don't, we are not that influenced by art that much. I would say art is not was never a very main topic or a very important stuff that we actually valued that much compared to Europeans. I think I don't know why though. Maybe because we
What
don't have.
does, sorry for interrupting, but what does an average person or teen, you can say by your own experience, what did you usually did during your spare time in Taiwan? No, because I think this will relate with this question.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I know. Okay. Just another unrelated stuff is that I realized a lot of Europeans all are really skilled in one artistic abilities, like either singing, playing music, drawing, sculpturing, and when I said really skilled, it's like they're professional skilled. Like maybe they don't think themselves as professionals, but from my point of view, it's like a professional like art major student could achieve if you're in Taiwan. That's what I found very amazed during my stay here in Europe. And what do we usually do in our spare time? Well, for my spare time, I would go travel with my friends. We will go to exhibition. We will watch movies. We will go to cafes and chat with a group of girls. I think it's more like just leisure times instead of
But
finding
if you go
hobby.
to if you go to exhibitions, if you watch movies, you are watching art basically.
Yeah, well, if
So
you
you
put it like
have that relationship with art.
that.
You may not practice the arts you admire or you like to see,
Yeah.
but you have that relationship and it's part of your life.
Well, thanks for saying that. Thanks. Well, but yeah, I don't think practicing art is that common in our society. I mean, obviously, so that's why I picked drawings over sculpturing because drawing is way more easier to gain access. You just need a paper and a pen, and then you'll be able to draw. I myself, I like to doodle a lot, but that's just me. I think it. I'm not skilled or very good at it. So yeah,
Right?
that's
I think I found it funny that you focused on doing the art and not enjoying. Like you can enjoy doing, but that's not what I meant. But watching the art. For example, when I made the question, I was expecting you. Oh, I like more to watch paintings than sculptures, for example.
Ah,
But no, but it was interesting that you thought it more in the perspective of doing. And for example, you said you like to draw. Many people don't like to draw. I don't know what is your experience with European people, but my experience with European people, especially in Portugal, of course, is that people like art, like they like music, they like movies, they they like dancing, or to watch dance sometimes. They like all these different things, but if they do one of them, is because they are passionate about it. And for example, and they might get good because they are so passionate that they practice a lot and they get good at it, of course. And for example, you said you like to draw, maybe that's your passion, and if you do it many times and look for ways of getting better, probably you will get good at it. Good at it. So,
oh, I see. Okay. I've never thought about it as that also part of engaging in art, though. I mean, okay, yes, my friends, well, we do listen to musics on our free time, but I don't think that's we don't I don't think we consider that as an event or activities. I think it's just something we it happens daily, averagely. So if that counts, then yeah, maybe.
I would say definitely.
Okay, for
Moving
saying
on.
that.
To
Okay,
to learn or to teach.
to learn or to teach? To learn.
Okay, nice. To keep what you have or to double the bet.
Oh, wow. It depends, I think.
You can answer the way you prefer.
Right now, I would say to double the bet.
Okay, interesting. Just one more episode or enough for today?
Just one more.
Okay.
Always go for just one more.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's the typical thing. Uh, Ballet or hip hop?
Hip hop.
Melon or watermelon?
Oh, huh. Good questions. Watermelon.
To talk or to listen?
To listen. Because that's something I'm really trying to learn.
Yeah, it's important, of course. They say if you are talking, you are not learning. And you just said you like to learn more than to teach, so it makes sense as well. To cook or to eat?
E.
Okay.
That is something also I find very interesting. So before I came to Europe, I don't even know how to cook. I do not know how to cook. And I'm in my master program, so I'm not that young. I like the thing is, but the same goes with a lot of Taiwanese, I feel like, especially people around my age. We don't really need to cook because we could get food for a really cheap price and it's a full balanced home cooked meal for a really cheap price. So to get like we have like these like I know because eating out in Europe is actually quite pricey. It costs like at least 10 euros something to have a full meal. But in Taiwan, you could like have a meal for like just like 2 euros, maybe within like 150 euros
Mhm.
would be enough for you to have like a full proper meal. So that's why people don't cook that often. Like we don't have to. We could just eat out, and it's like it's affordable. So I feel like if you tell people that in Taiwan that I know how to cook, it will be seen as like a very impressive skills.
Interesting. I didn't know
Yeah,
that fact, and
yeah,
at least you have if one day you come back to Taiwan, you can have an impressive skill to show
yeah.
everyone.
But I don't think I'll keep on cooking when I'm back to Taiwan. I'll just eat out
Yeah.
like I normally do. But I mean, obviously, for if your parents valued health way more, and your maybe your mom or your dad, one of them is like not working, then you will have like home cooked meal daily way more often than other people. But at least for me, when I was in college, I live outside. I was studying in another city. I eat out every single day and for every single meal. And I think it goes the same with all my other classmates who were also living outside instead of living with their families. So it's actually quite normal to eat out in Taiwan on a daily basis. Yeah. We start eating out from breakfast till our like late night snack.
This took a lot more time than it usually does, but we already talked a lot about your country, so I don't think that is a problem. But let's move on and see where it goes. What's the strongest memory you have from your childhood?
My strongest memory from my childhood. Huh. I think it will be walking home with my friends. Oh, did not see that coming. I think it'll be walking home with my friends. So we I think that's one of the very fun part of my childhood, like during elementary school, because usually when you go back home, most of the kids will go to cram school or they'll go back home, but most of the time after school we spend just studying, like a lot of studying. So I don't think it's that fun for our childhood. But the fun part is that I really do enjoy walking back home with my friends because we all live nearby, and then walking back home is the time when sometimes we will feel very spontaneous or like feel like splurging. We will go to the convenience store and buy ourselves a popsicle or something before we go back home. I think that's one thing that I really enjoy. And sometimes we will sneak to McDonald's when we're on our way back home, and we will get like these very cheap ice cream cone from McDonald's. They were really cheap in Taiwan. They were just like 40 cents per ice cream. Yeah. So I think that is one of my most memorable childhood memories, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I had when we did the pre-call before the interview, we talked about Taiwan being an island, and
Yes.
my answer to you is if there are any good or bad things related with it of Taiwan being an island.
Huh. I I think there's a lot of good things for being an island. I like that I'm from Ireland. I think it's fun. Main reason is because right now I'm living in Germany and it's like really inland. But if you grew up in an island, you will have so many access to seafood, which I think is the same for you too.
Yeah, it's quite similar.
Yeah, but I like being an island. I like being able to, and also because I'm from a small island, it's really easy to go to the beach, get to see oceans a lot.
Hmm.
And yeah, I don't really see that much of the difference besides the ocean and seafood
And is
from
there any bad thing about growing up in an island?
okay, well, there is a bad thing about growing up in an island, and I don't really thought that as a problem until I moved to Europe. Is traveling. So if you want to travel, you will always need an airplane.
Hmm.
And since I feel like a lot of people right nowadays valued about carbon footsteps, so that's the bad thing. If you want to travel, you'll have to go on a plane.
Does it make you feel like you know the whole world when you are living in an island? Because I mean, the whole world being your world, the island. At least when you're smaller.
Huh. No. But I think I don't know, but because I used to live in the United States, so
Oh yeah, yeah. You already had the experience of living outside the
yeah.
island. Yeah, yeah. It makes a difference, of course. Um, no, it's interesting. I forgot what I was going to say.
But then also I think because we're really close with China, and we actually learn a lot about China because we do share a lot of similar cultural backgrounds. So I think at least we know there's China, another country there, and then there's Japan because we used to be a colonies of Japan. So I don't think we just see ourselves because of an island. We are already the whole world because we were so influenced by all these different countries.
Yeah, I understand. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes totally sense. One thing interesting I was going to ask you is if don't we all live in an island? Because continents are just huge islands, like basically. But you answered it really well because you said that what makes it different to live in an island is to live really close to the sea, and so
Yeah.
it basically answers my this question. Um,
Okay.
but moving on, what do you love the most about your country?
Huh. I would say, oh, there's a lot that I love about my country.
Just share it.
Food and the people. The food, the people, and then there's the scenery. Those are the stuff that I love. I think they're the top three. Top most favorite would have to be food. Man, I miss food. I miss Taiwanese food. Yeah. I think our it's very because compared to like Western dishes, I think obviously not Portuguese dishes. I think Portuguese dishes involves a lot of steps, but also like Asian foods, like especially for Chinese food and Taiwanese food, it's very complicated to make. It's a lot of preparation and it's a lot of steps to achieve that point of flavors. So yeah, I miss food. And compared to at least in Germany, I think the food they have here are very simple. And it's not that complicated to cook either. So yeah, I miss food the most.
Mhm.
And and then there's like a lot of varieties of food and then there's so many. It's so convenient to get food too. Like you have food anywhere, anytime, or any price.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then about the people, I think I miss Taiwanese people a lot is because I mean I think we have a reputation for being friendly and very hospitality to other people. Obviously there's mean people in Taiwan too, but I would say like on a whole scale, I think most people are pretty nice and pretty down to earth and genuine. So I miss that too. And as for the scenery, I think Taiwan is very special is because we have the ocean, we have the beach, but then we also have extremely beautiful mountains. Like we have the whole thing. And then we also have lakes. Not much, but we have some lakes. Like I think the scenery and natural environment in Taiwan is very diverse. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are.
Oh, just one question. How big is the island, Taiwan? Because from one point of the island to the other, how long is it? Just for me
I
to
get
understand.
asked a lot about these questions, and also I get asked a lot about our populations, but I've never managed to remember it. But I would say if you drive from the north to south by car, it will cost let's see 7 or 8 hours
By
to the
highway?
yeah.
By highway.
But we don't drive up to 100. Like I think our top limit is like 80.
Miles or kilometers?
Oh, kilometers.
Kilometers. Oh,
Yeah.
so it's quite slow. Okay.
Yeah. I know here people drive really fast on highways,
Yeah.
but not we don't do that.
No, it depends. For example, I think that the normal thing in Europe at least is 120 kilometers in highways. But
I
in Germany, I think they have zones of the highway without limits. It's quite different.
Yeah, yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
No,
We were not.
we neither. We neither in Portugal. The limit is 120 and there's nothing above it. Um, okay. Tell me something about your country that I probably never heard of.
Something that you've never heard of? Huh. That's interesting. Um, huh. I was gonna tell you something, but that we already talked about, but I still want to brought it up.
Okay, no problem. Just...
It's the egg tart.
Oh yeah, yeah, we talked about it in the pre-call. Yeah.
The Portuguese egg tart. We do have Portuguese egg tart. What's it called name?
The name in Portuguese is pastel de
Yeah.
nata, and it's a lot well known. At least one of the if I talk with foreign people, the majority of people refer to it if they have to talk about a Portuguese pastry. Of course, there's a lot more. Portuguese
Yeah, I
pastries
heard
are super. There's a huge variety of great Portuguese pastries and food in general. One funny thing I remember when I was in the Netherlands, my group of friends was, if not all, almost everyone was vegetarian, and so I struggled a bit with promoting Portuguese food because our food, the typical Portuguese food, is not vegetarian at all. It's based on meat or fish. It's based on meat or fish. That's one thing of living close to the sea, is that we have a lot of food related with fish as well. Not only meat. We have great things related with meat, but with fish as well, and with seafood. With seafood as well. So we have a great variety, great food to eat. But I struggled a lot with promoting Portuguese food because they were vegetarian, so it was quite hard to promote it well. It was easier to promote. It was easier for my Indian friends to promote their food with them because in India they have a lot of vegetarian food. They have other foods as well, but they have a lot of vegetable-based meals. But I struggled a little. I'm not saying that there's nothing, but it like the typical Portuguese meal would normally have meat or fish.
Yeah, I understand that. I think the same goes with Taiwanese food too. I also have like some vegetarian friends that I was trying to cook them Taiwanese food, but then the only thing I did is I just leave out the meat part.
Yeah.
It goes with the same.
But you were saying about the pastel de nata, or the Portuguese egg tart, like you say in Taiwan. There's a huge offer of Portuguese egg tarts there, and I found that super surprising. I had no idea of that. They even sell it in McDonald's, right? Like you said.
No, we sell them in Kentucky. I think okay.
Yeah, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
We eat a lot of those because it's easy for us to get them for a very good quality, which is from KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. But other than that, I don't think it's that easy to have access with egg tarts. But I mean, because KFC is a chain store and we have a lot of those in Taiwan, so that's why we eat a lot of those. And like, if you want to have like a very good, legit egg tarts in Taiwan, you will always go to KFC for it. To the place that sells fried chicken.
I find lovely that an American franchise is promoting a Portuguese pastry in Taiwan. That's super international. Super international.
Yeah. No. I never thought it was weird until I met Felipe, which is the guy that introduced us.
Yeah, exactly. It's super funny. I have an interesting question for you. Looking back to the average Taiwanese person like 50 years ago, what was their normal behavior, their normal values? What was normal for people to be and to believe? What are the biggest differences between who you are and the people at your age, like 50 years ago?
I would say 50 years ago, they are way more conservative. And I think for I've heard about this saying about Taiwanese that we are very, we call them, I don't know the English term for it, but it's basically saying that we just do our jobs and we don't really try our best to how do you say, like, we don't really like, yeah, we don't try to stand out. Yeah, good word. Good choice. Yeah, we don't try to stand out. We just try to work on what we have in our plate, and then we work really, really hard on it. and we don't try to stand out, or we don't try to be different. I would say, yeah, like kind of like that. Like we try to blend in with societies and to not cause a trouble. And we are very high in obedience and conformity too. I think that's how it was like 50 years ago. Maybe it has a lot to do with our government at that time and with our history, but I kind of feel like it's because we were very Taiwanese people are seen as very, I wouldn't say weak, but we don't really like fight back for ourselves. Like we kind of just like go with what's given and we just bear with it. But not in this generation now. I think like as times value and when at least for my generations, I don't see that quality among my friends anymore. But I would say that is what it was like for my grandparents. And sometimes I see that in my parents too. Like they don't really try to fight back. Well, yeah, sometimes, but not always though. I think they, starting from their generation, it started to change already.
Do you think
Yeah.
nowadays people would easily try to make their voice heard? That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I think people now are more encouraged to do that too. Yeah.
What do you mean by encouraged?
Well, I think it was like that because back like 50 or 60 years ago, Taiwan actually went through dictatorships. And that's when you're not allowed, you don't really have freedom of speech or anything related to freedoms. And you don't, they would train you to just obey whatever the government gave you. So I think that's one of the reasons why they're so high in obedience and they're so afraid to stand up or speak up for themselves. But then also we've gone through revolutions and now we're like a very democratic country. So I would say that because of also going through the revolutions and we read that in histories, and then also we have like the changing of parties of our governments, people around my generations are more encouraged to fight for their own rights and to speak up, and also like a lot of stuff, not just for political issues, but also for LGBTQ, that too. So I think that's why we don't really have that color anymore. I mean, we might still do, but not that strong anymore. Like we are more encouraged to be saying that, yeah, we do have a rights in saying what we want to, in voicing our thoughts.
And that applies as well to the expectation of society as for you, for example. Like, do you think nowadays people more easily speak out like what they want to for their lives, even though it goes against what their parents want for them or what society expects of them?
Yeah, kind of. At least in my generations, I think it's very different too. It's very distinct. I think we are kind of encouraged to do that, and I think parents may not like them, but they kind of expect it too, because that's how the society is changing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had a small game here, but I think I will jump through it because we are already a bit out of time.
Okay.
But the next question I would like to ask you is regarding other countries you visited. Like, which countries have you visited apart from Taiwan, and just list some of your favorite ones, and if you want to say why.
Huh. Wow, that is a hard question. One of my favorite countries? I like Munich. I like Germany a lot, though. Now I do like Germany a lot. But my favorite country that I visited would be... I want to say Japan. but I think that's just my personal...
Just think out loud.
Okay. I would say Japan. Japan is like a very popular tourist spot for Taiwanese because it's actually very cheap to travel to Japan. Like the airplane tickets there is very cheap. I think sometimes it could be cheaper than just traveling inside Taiwan.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And also I like Japan is because it's clean, they're really polite, and we share a lot of similar cultures. I think we are very familiar, not like shared similar culture, but like we are very familiar with Japanese culture. And I really like Japanese food. It involves a lot of seafood. So yeah, I think that's why I
Talking
would say
about
Japan.
talking about Japanese culture, I want to talk more about other countries, but I forgot to mention
Uh-huh.
this. Some people might be curious, and I know one of your friends did, why I chose one of the pictures for the challenge to try to guess the country, and that's we talked about that before. Was like the Hello
Yeah,
Kitty airplane.
they're fun. Yeah.
Would you like to explain people why maybe I chose that picture? Like why Hello
Okay.
Kitty has its own plane on Taiwan?
Well, okay. I believe you chose that picture because it was a plane by Eva Air, and that is a Taiwan company. Like that company is from Taiwan. And about the Hello Kitty part, well, I would say a lot of Taiwanese like Hello Kitty. Like they love Hello Kitty. I think I remember growing up, I have so many Hello Kitty related toys. I think people just assume that you're a little girl, you would have to love Hello Kitty too. So I think I think Japanese culture really influenced us a lot, and they brought in this whole valuing cuteness concept in Taiwan. So like a lot of people in Taiwan also like cute stuff. At least for me, I love cute stuff, and I think that's something that might come from Japan. And and maybe that is why we have Hello Kitty on our airplanes because a lot of people like Hello Kitty, and it brings up it's a good marketing, I would say,
Yeah,
to have Hello Kitty on the Tony's airplane.
and
Yeah,
where else can you find it? Because
Hello
I've read,
Kitty.
yeah, because I've read it's not only on airplanes. You can find it on other places as well.
Huh? We have Hello Kitty themed restaurants. Hello Kitty themed everything. We have them on clothes, on bags, on stationaries, notebooks, on like kitchenwares, on everything. They have Hello Kitty everything.
Yeah, and it's not seen as a childish thing, right? Everyone
No,
loves it. Yeah,
I don't think. Well, I think okay. Maybe it depends. Maybe you will get joke about for liking Hello Kitties when you're an adult. But I think it's not weird though, to be honest. Like I know a lot of adults still like Hello Kitty a lot.
yeah, I can imagine because otherwise, I don't think it would make sense to put Hello
Yeah.
Kitty on an airplane because, like, at least in Portugal, Hello Kitty is famous as well, and maybe in the majority of the countries, I don't know. And for young girls, it's common to have Hello Kitty related items.
What
But
about adults?
sorry,
What about for adults? Like
for adults, yeah, people might like it as well, but it's not as fashion as when you are a young girl. But yeah,
oh
adults also like it. There are adult women that also like it, and can have related items with Hello Kitty. But I don't imagine any airplane company, or the Portuguese airplane company, for example, to do something like that. I can't, or even Hello Kitty related or themed restaurants. I don't think we have one. Maybe we
wow.
have, but I don't think so. I don't think so. So that's why I was so intrigued by this Hello Kitty passion.
Yeah, we like Hello Kitty. Well, especially in the past, but I think now there's way more characters from Sanrio, which is the company from that invented that has Hello Kitty. So I think there's other more like fashionable characters nowadays, but I mean it is a part of a proof that how we're influenced by Japanese cuteness culture.
Yeah, but these characters play a big role. I want to move on to other countries, but just a quick question. Are
Yeah.
these characters play a big impact in Taiwanese culture? Because I think I've read that you also have like Barbie themed restaurants or other things like that.
Barbie themed restaurant? Do we have that? Maybe we
I think
do.
I've read
I
that. Yeah.
wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if we have that.
You really
But
like these themed things.
yes, yes. Now that you say it, I realize. Yeah, we do. We do have a lot of themed restaurants, like Barbies, and then there's One Piece, Snoopy. Like we have a lot of those themed restaurants.
I find it funny because it's always related with cartoons.
Yes, it's always related to cartoons.
Yeah.
But I mean, but then what else will you put in themes
You can
besides
put
cartoons?
TV shows, movies,
Oh.
sports, uh, some art, music. I don't know.
Okay, maybe we also have those too, but I think cartoon ones will be the most popular ones.
Yeah, I think in Japan it's quite f- trendy or fancy to have bars or cafes with animals as well. I'm not sure,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
but that's not so common outside Japan, I believe. But they exist. But okay, moving on. You talked about Japan and you just referred Germany. I don't know if you would like to say any more things about different countries you visited, or talk a little bit more, for example, about Germany.
Huh. Well, I could talk some about Germany. I I I have this huge culture shock when I got here is that they don't have shops open on Sundays. But maybe it's I don't know if it's a German thing or it's just in Bavarian because I heard I think it is a Germany thing. Yeah, I think so. Like they don't have shops open on Sundays, but in Taiwan, weekends are the times that we go shopping and when we go buy stuff. Like so that I found it very surprised because I think because Sunday is like it's like God's day. You go to church on Sunday, so you don't open shops on Sundays. But we don't have that in Taiwan. We are not. I mean, we do have Catholics, but that is not our main religion in Taiwan. So that I find it very very different.
If you want me to explain it a bit, I think I can.
Okay,
Um,
sure.
in Christianity or in Catholicism, I'm not really into that. I'm an atheist, but of course, in Portugal, the Catholicism is the big religion, so I've heard a lot of it, so I know a bit about it, even though I'm an atheist. But
Were you? But can I ask a question? Like, were you baptized when you were a kid?
yeah,
When
yeah,
you were little?
I was,
Oh,
yeah.
hmm.
So they say that the God made the world, I believe, and the things in the world, and then He rested on the seventh day, and the seventh day it's supposed to be Sunday. So that's why people rest on Sunday or Sunday. People so the weekend is Saturday and Sunday, of course, but like the huge day of or the most uh, respected day in the weekend is Sunday normally. So it's time for family to rest, to enjoy yourself. Uh, but of course, at least I don't know if how strict it is in Germany, but in Portugal there are stores that are closed in Sunday, but there are
Oh,
a lot of stores that are open in Sunday as well. It depends. It depends on the business you have.
and well, at least in Munich, I think there's only restaurants open on Sundays,
Okay. So
and
in
that's it.
Portugal, shopping malls are all open. There are many stores open as well. The restaurants are, yeah, the cafes, yeah. There are many things open, uh, but there are also many things closed. So normally, the majority of people have their rest days on Saturday and Sunday. But
Ah,
it can depend. It can depend on the work you do. If you work, for example, on a supermarket, I believe all the supermarkets are open on Sunday. So they have people that they have shifts and they have people that rest on different days of the week. That's just an example. That's just an example.
hmm. Okay. Wow. I didn't know that. But another thing is that I found really interesting is that because I feel like Europe is this continent that are so influenced by religions, but a lot of people that I met that are in my generations, they also claim themselves as atheism. I'm curious, like, how do you? Because I believe growing up, you must be very influenced by religions and about like Catholics or Christians.
Yeah, we are.
Although, then how do you decide that you want to be atheism? Like, I mean, because I'm not Christian or Catholics, but I think I find it very like very impressive to like really how do you say like I think it's very impressive that even though you grew up in such an environment, but then as the time goes by, you actually decided on your own to not believe or like
Hmm.
switch your religions at a point when
Yeah.
you grew up. How do
Athe-
you decide that?
atheism. I don't know if I was explicit, but atheism it's not a religion. I don't know if you are
Yeah,
thinking. It's
yeah,
I don't know
like
if you know atheism is not a religion. It's just not believing in God.
yeah.
Okay, so you knew that. Okay, so yeah, yeah, we so culturally are super shaped. So my values, for example, are super shaped by religion, even though I'm an atheist. So I will start with the short sentence and then I will explore. So the the reason I consider myself an atheist is that I don't believe in God or any kind of superior entity that rules the world. So I'm really ground to earth, or in the way I believe in nature, or the world, or the way things work. I believe we are just as any other animal. We just have to have a superior, or at least a different kind of consciousness that or intelligence than other animals. I believe that are other animals that are intelligent. That maybe they just don't use the intelligence the way we do, but we are so similar to many animals. So there's not such a huge difference in that point. But yeah, I don't believe that there is any kind of superior entity that helps or don't help us. Uh, I believe that we are born, we live, and we die, and after that we are gone. Other people come to replace us, and that's about it. I don't believe in afterlife and heaven or hell. I don't believe in any of that. So I'm really plain or straightforward in the way I think about things. But of course, for example, one thing that you might be curious is that I can say that I love Christmas, but that doesn't make sense because I'm not Catholic. Um, but I love Christmas not as a way of celebrating the birth of Jesus or something like that. I love Christmas because since I was a child, it was a very special time in which I would have my family together. I would have lovely dinners, and they were always special days. Of course, even when I was a kid, you remember that time because you also like to receive presents, and it was a different day. But especially as I grew up and being an adolescent, what I remember is to be together with family and to really enjoy those times. And I love those days, and I love the spirit of Christmas, of being care for others and to enjoy your family. So those things, that's what I love. So I really love Christmas, for example, and I'm not a Catholic or Christian. So that's an interesting thing. And I would
Hmm.
say that my values, my moral values, the things I believe, have a lot to do and are in many things similar, not equal. There are differences, of course, but are in many things similar to what a Christian would believe. So it really shaped me, being born or raised in this culture with this religion. I
Mm-hmm.
just yeah, there are people that are born here and raised here and follow the beliefs and even the activities and dynamics of the religion.
Mm-hmm.
My parents, even though they believe in something, they are they don't usually go to church, so maybe that played a role. I don't know, but they never. One thing they did is they never tried to push me to either side. So they always gave me the freedom of believing what I wanted, and I think that helps because in the past you might be get more censored because you don't believe in something or related with religion. Normally my grandmother, sometimes me and my sister are both atheists, uh, and sometimes we say some things, and she gets, oh, don't say something like that, or sort of some things like that, because that for her it's not something good to say, for example. But but yeah, I felt like we always had the freedom to believe what we believe, so that's great. To not have, if I wouldn't have that freedom, I don't know. But I was already born in a time in which the majority of people are religious, but there are already some people that are not, and that's okay. So I think that's a good thing. And yeah, in the end, I think it's just a matter of what you believe. For me, it doesn't make sense the existence of the God and to conceptualize the world with the existence of a God or goddess, goddesses, and it doesn't make sense in my opinion. And I don't believe with the things that people say about the religion and the Bible and the miracles and whatever. But that's just an
Yeah.
opinion. It's okay that other people might believe otherwise. But like I said, I'm not a Catholic, but I have to recognize that I was deeply shaped by growing up in this environment.
Wow. But I guess because your families is more open about it, so that you have the chance and opportunities to really think about and not feeling conflicted about it too.
Yeah,
And now you're becoming an atheist. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. But I do understand the part about you not being Catholics, but still like Christmas, because we also celebrate Christmas in Taiwan. But none of us, well, not none of us, but I mean, Catholics or Christians is not our main religions. We just see Christmas as a party thing. So around the end of December, like everything would just be full Christmas theme and very Christmassy, and it was really fun.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I love Christmas. It's the spirit. It's the spirit,
Yeah.
the good vibe, and family, and enjoying ourselves during that month. Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it. Okay. I don't know. 1 hour and 22. Yeah. Okay. We should be close to finishing.
Okay.
Um, I will ask you, what do you like the most about visiting foreign countries?
What do I like the most? Huh. I like to travel in general, and I like walking in their streets. I like that a lot. Like especially in their cities or suburban areas, I like seeing the city views and their street views. Like I think it's very different from where I'm come from, and I think every place has their own look. I like that. That's one of my favorite. Sounds kind of boring, but
Would you say it's like to just look around and notice the differences, or is there anything else? Like you said, you like to walking on the streets. It's just,
yeah,
from what I understood, is more about looking around and notice the differences from your own
yeah,
country. But is there
yeah.
any other thing why you like to do it? I don't know, the
What?
smells, the talking with people. I don't know.
Okay, maybe I don't. Okay,
Or what do you
yes,
like most to observe?
I think I like more just observing it and seeing how different the buildings could be, how the structural the streets and the differences between what people are doing at that time. I like seeing that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
we were
oh,
talking about religion, and one thing you can notice really is being from Portugal, Catholicism is a big thing. Uh,
yes,
but in Central Europe, they are more Protestants. And you can notice a big difference, or it's noticeable, the differences in the architecture and the way churches are built and exculted.
wow,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, they are really different. And
Hmm.
so I was in the Netherlands, and they are Protestants as well. So the majority of the churches are more like in the Gothic style, I would say. Uh,
Wow.
and then I think it was in Leiden that I found one Catholic church, and you can notice it's more similar to the ones I have here. We have here in Portugal than the rest of the others. Yeah, so just
Wow.
having a look, you can learn a bit from the country.
Yeah, but I haven't been to um, those countries because the countries I visited in Europe are mostly just Catholics country, like Italy, German, Bavarian, and I think that's it. I
What
don't.
was the country that played the most, in which that walking on the street was more impressive to you?
Siena, Italy. I love that place. Actually went there with Ine too. I really like Siena and then Florence.
Mm.
I, it's I I just really like it there. I think it has a lot to offer, and like the buildings are smaller, and but then they all have like the same warm tone, and how do I say it? Like I and then there's so all these statues and paintings just on the streets, and then you will meet a small museum or a big museum every few blocks, and you could really imagine how it used to be such a big and like powerful city back in the days. Like it's very interesting. I really like that place.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, just to finish, I would like to ask you one or two questions about yourself and maybe give a room for you to deliver a final message.
Okay.
One question is, what is the most annoying question people ask you regularly?
Huh. The most annoying one for my person is, but I don't think it's annoying, is do you know how to read minds? I think it's funny. I don't think it's annoying, but I get asked a lot.
Why you can read minds basically?
No, I can't.
No, no,
I
no, no. That's what people ask you.
yeah, kind of.
But why do you
But
think people ask? They explain to you why they ask the question.
yeah, because they thought that I study psychology, then it must be because
Oh,
then I will learn some skills in mind readings. But actually, no. I don't
but
know.
you wish to be able to do
No, I don't.
that.
That'd be too much for me. Too much information for
Yeah,
me.
probably, almost definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone owe you an apology?
Does anyone owe me an apology? No, I don't think so. I'm the type of person, if I feel like someone owes me an apology, I will go up there and say, I think you owe me an apology. I will not let that pass
Yeah,
by.
you already said you say things face to face. You already said it in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do you owe an apology to someone? Or do you
Oh,
find it easy
maybe.
to apologize yourself?
I think maybe, but I don't know. If somebody asked me to apologize, I would gladly do so. But I don't think most people are like me.
To anyone
Like,
out there, if I'm owing you an apology, please call me
yeah, please let me know.
999. I will gladly do so. Yeah, but you find it easy
Yeah.
to apologize.
Yeah.
Do you have an easy time apologizing to someone?
Oh,
Because some people may find it difficult sometimes.
well, I don't think it would ever be easy, but I'm really willing to do that.
What's the most difficult thing about it? Why is it? Why can it be difficult?
I think the difficult part is to admit that you did something wrong. That's the hardest part for me, to admit that and to acknowledge that. And then if you for me, like, as at the point when you realize the part that you were doing wrong, then the apology part seems easier, because I mean, if you did something wrong, you have to, for me, I think it's that you have to make something to like apologize it
Yeah.
and to, yeah, to make it better. So I think the hardest part would be acknowledging your mistakes.
In Portuguese, we sometimes say, I don't know how it is in other languages, but we sometimes say, I will say in Portuguese and then translate, as desculpas não se pedem, evitam-se. Which basically means you don't apologize, or you shouldn't apologize, you should try not having to. So,
Ah,
but you can, but of course, this is more related with people that are always making mistakes and then always apologizing. It starts to lose its meaning. But I was going to say that I find that apologizing is a really important and beautiful thing as well. But for me, what's most difficult, it's not sometimes, it can be difficult to recognize you're wrong because you have to question your behavior and what you thought. So, but I think this I may be misleading myself sometimes, of course, but I think that I can do that quite well. But the problem is if you are doing it wrong, you don't know. But okay, moving on. Uh, and for me, the most difficult part is I think it's the embarrassment. Like when I have to apologize, I feel embarrassed for what I did, and I have
ah,
a hard time saying, okay, I'm sorry for this because I really feel embarrassed by what I did
ah,
when
was
exposed to that
guilt.
person and apologizing.
That makes sense too. Yeah, I think also like feeling the guilt that you have is also very hard too. Yeah. Hmm. Good point.
Okay, last question before the final message.
Okay.
What is that people don't see when they look at you?
What they don't see when they look at me? Huh. But I feel like I'm pretty open. What do people they don't see that I am a I think a lot of people see me as this person who doesn't have any like negativity feelings because I smile and laugh a lot. But that's not true. Everybody have their own problems at some point. Yeah.
Would you like to talk a little bit more about it?
Well, I mean, I understand why people think that I live a very happy and positive life because I do smile and laugh a lot. But I think it's that's how I see negativities and bad stuff during my experience because I don't like to engage too much in the negativity part, and I would try to change it into a more humorous way and try to just laugh it out so that I don't have to like just soak in the negativities at the moment.
Yeah, but by the way you describe it, it seems more like an approach than, for example, it does. By the way you describe it, it doesn't seem like you're running away from the bad emotions. It seems like you are choosing to look at the positive
Yeah,
side or to focus on different things.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
If it is that way, I would believe it's healthy because,
Oh,
um,
thank you.
like,
Yeah,
one thing is to run away from your problems. That
yeah,
that may make you feel okay for a moment, but things will come back.
yeah.
So
They will
you
always come
really,
back.
so you really need to accept things. I think one of the greatest things we can do throughout our lives is to accept what happens to us, even
Yeah,
though I think some people have. This is a personal belief, of course. Some people are really focused in finding the meaning of things. Why did this happen? And that is okay for many things, but I think it will lead you to problems somewhere in the way because there are some things that happen to you that you can give satisfactory a satisfactory explanation for why they happened, yeah, even though it's not true. One thing curious with question why is that you come up with an answer always, even though it might not be true because you are trying to create an answer for it. So because you are asking why, you will create an answer, but it might be true or not. You just try to create an answer for the question you asked yourself, uh, even though you have to create something just to create that answer. But but I was trying to say that there are things in life that can happen that are hard to, or they mostly don't have a why they happen. They just did happen. And if you are
yeah,
too focused in the why, you will never accept it because you are trying to come up with an explanation that you will not reach. And I
yeah,
think
exactly.
that promotes a lot of suffering and doesn't allow you to move on. and you need
Yeah.
to move on and focus on what you have to do next, not on
Yeah.
what happened. And
Yeah.
so I believe that one really good thing that people can have is to accept things that happened, and why they happened doesn't matter. They happened. The why isn't important many times. So just try to move on and focus on what you can do next to make things better. They are not perfect, but you can make them better in the future. And you
Yeah.
need to act now to make them better in the future. That's a little bit of the mindset I like to apply.
Yeah. I also agree on that perspective too. Yeah, I agree on that. Hmm.
Okay. Would you like to deliver? I have a final question that I think I will try to implement on the videos from the last one forward. But normally I give space if you want to deliver a final message to people watching. Uh, you can do that now.
Oh, a final message? Well, I really like Taiwan, and I hope more people will be able to come and visit and see how great that place is. Because that's my final message.
Nice, short and sweet. Uh,
Yeah.
so my last question, I did it for the first time in last video. It worked out pretty well. And the question is like, what would your really old self, like 90 something years old, really really old self, uh, tell to your current version of yourself?
Wow. What would my old self tell to my current self? I think my old self will tell me to don't stress too much about the little things. Because when you're that old, I think all these stuff that I'm struggling right now would just seem so pointless. I think.
I believe in that because I think it was when I talked with Tiny, Tiny no,
Mhm.
Aine, not Tiny, Aine. Tiny was the Brazilian girl I interviewed, and Aine is from Japan. I think it was with her that I told that things in life change. Like what we are living now, it's just a moment, but it won't last forever. So if things are, I think we were talking about her being bullied in school, and I was saying that those were bad times, but uh, like I said, now her life it's different, well, gladly, and it's to have that perspective that if you are going through something really bad, things will change and hopefully for the better, because nothing in our life takes forever, so things change necessarily, and I think what you say goes according with that. So don't stress too much about the little things today because in 10 years they will mean nothing. They are just important now, but if you look at it from a different perspective, from looking through your whole life, it isn't that important as it seems now. And I think that's what you meant. And the other curious thing was that when I asked this exactly same question in the last episode, it was the first episode I asked this question to Emma from Vietnam. She
Uh-huh.
answered the exact same thing you answered.
Really?
Yeah, you can give a look at it.
Wow.
So when you start answering, I found it really funny because it was the exact same answer. I challenge you
Wow.
to give a look at the final of that video because that's what she answered.
Yeah.
Really. Okay, I wanted to thank you so much for doing this video with me. It was super fun. I hope you liked it as well.
Oh, thank
Uh,
I also really appreciate and really grateful for you to give me this chance because I know you were also struggling about if, whether or not you want me on your channel, but I I'm really grateful about that, and I hope you don't regret that too.
no, I'm
Thank you.
sure I won't. These are the values I was trying to promote really. In a previous episode, I risked myself saying that I don't understand, or in my opinion, and this is quite not. This is quite. People might not accept really well what I said in that episode, and I will repeat here. For example, with all the Jerusalem thing, in my opinion, if the two religions, I think they are the so Palestine and Israel, want both want Jerusalem. In my
Mhm.
opinion, they should share it because you can have both churches and mosques in the same city. But that's just my opinion and the way I view things. I would really prefer that they would be friends and share the city instead of fighting for the city, because there's space enough for the both of them. So, but that's just the way I view things. And regarding Taiwan, yeah, if people would be reasonable, they would find a way to understand each other and to, instead of fighting each other, to reasonably and peacefully come to a solution. And I think there is no point in fighting for a piece of terrain. Not anymore. I like to think that we humans are already in a next level. We fought for centuries for terrains and possession of lands. So today things are changing. We don't have a giant war for so many years. Of course, we have a lot of wars in some countries, which is really bad. But we should try to not conquer by force, but to communicate and try to reach an agreement, preferably. So if we could share that message with this episode, and for people to see that the Taiwanese people are just like the Chinese and like everyone, they are just similar people that lived in a different place with a different culture. Or in your case, it's quite similar as well, like you said. Um, I think it would be great. And for example, for the Chinese people watching that might not accept Taiwan as a country, that's acceptable. But at least they can see that the Taiwanese are not bad people that hate China. No, they respect you, respect them, and they should respect you, and it's much better that way. If we could send that message, it's great.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, you're very positive about this whole situation. I think it's really great. And thank you a lot again. Yeah.
Thank you for accepting and for the positivity you also brought and all your experiences. It was really nice talking at you. I really had fun.
Me
Uh,
too.
that's
Too.
great. That's great to know. And for all the people watching, thank you as well. I love that we can share these experiences and moments with you. I hope you like it. If you have any comments, just tips or ideas or questions, just feel free to comment, and we'll try to answer the best we can. So we'll come back next week with a new episode from a new country like usually. And yeah, I'll see you there, and have the rest of a nice weekend.